Hello everyone, it's History Behind the Warrior and welcome back to yet another Mortal Kombat video. Now in today's History of episode, as we count down to the release of the Mortal Kombat movie, I wanted to talk about the sometime Black Dragon assassin and speedster of the Mortal Kombat universe, Kabal. Now Kabal has had a number of different changes and alterations to his character ever since his creation in MK3. So in order to go over his 3 different origins, yet it's been changed a few times, we will be diving all the way back to that of the original continuity in order to learn just who exactly is Kabal. But just before we jump into things, we do have a sponsor for today's video. Raid Shadow Legends has millions of players and dozens of tough bosses, but its heart and soul are its jaw-dropping gorgeous champions. And guess what? They've introduced an entirely new playable faction. Get ready to meet the Shadowkin. The Shadowkin are a group shrouded in mystery, hailing from the furthest reaches of the eastern continent, beyond the Brimstone Path. It's believed they've been under the brutal heel of the demon spawn for the last several hundred years. Only in the last few months have they overthrown Sephiroth's yoke and revealed themselves to the other factions. Are they honorable? Yes. Evil? Not anymore. Are they good? Only time will tell. This faction is just getting started, so come with me to meet the new arrivals in the battle. Now if you know me by now, you know that one of my favorite aspects about Raid Shadow Legends is how you can really play it anywhere, being both playable on desktop and mobile devices. You can pick up the fight anywhere on the go. Now Raid has just passed their 2-year anniversary and the game is bigger and better than ever. Seriously, they've just announced a month and a half of awesome events and tournaments, and there's no sign of them slowing down yet. This month they're releasing a new batch of epic and free champions, and they're also releasing their second version of the Doom Tower. This means new rewards, new gears to win, and new ways to customize your champions. But also, there's 2 brutal looking bosses to take on, the Celestial Griffin and the Eternal Dragon. I can't wait to dive in and try to take them down. With all these updates and new features, the game has never been better, and with all the events, tournaments, and free gifts available, it's never been easier to get started. If you want to get a head start in Raid, all you got to do is hit the link down in the description below or scan my exclusive QR code. From here you'll get a free epic champion, Jotun, 100k silver, 50 gems, and 3 ancient shards, so you can summon your own awesome champions as soon as you jump in. All these treasures will be available for you here, so what are you waiting for? It's just that easy to get started, so please click on the link down in the description below and I'll catch you all there. Pre-Mortal Kombat. Now, before Kabal's very first appearance, we learned that Kabal was in fact at one point a valued member of the international crime syndicate, the Black Dragons. Thus, because of his allegiance to the gang, Kabal would answer to Kano, who was working with at the time Outworld Emperor, Shao Kahn. Now, the Conqueror at this point in time had his eyes set on enslaving Earthrealm. After his previous attempts had failed, Shao Kahn decided to take a more direct approach, and in turn unleashed his Outworld horde on Earthrealm, attacking and killing all via his extermination squads. Now, it was during this time where Kabal began to have a change of heart, seeing the horrors of what Shao Kahn was accomplishing, so he would relinquish his allegiance to Shao Kahn and the Black Dragons, finally deciding to side with Earthrealm and push back against Outworld. But unfortunately for him, his defiance against the Emperor would lead to him becoming horrifically scarred and burnt by Shao's extermination squads. Because of this, Kabal was forced to undergo cybernetic augmentations in order to survive and keep fighting. His lungs now fried, Kabal had a respirator built into his body, allowing him to survive and complement his speedster augmentations. So this allowed Kabal to become a very fierce ally of Earthrealm's defense force. Mortal Kombat 3. With the defenders' combined efforts, they were able to push back against Outworld's forces, and Liu Kang would be successful in once again defeating the Emperor. Following these events, Kabal promised to be a force of good within Earthrealm, but this was a promise that would quickly be broken. Shortly after the events of the 3rd game, Kabal would just seemingly disappear from the public eye, and whilst he wasn't in hiding, it is believed that he just wanted to have a life of solitude, which is definitely respectable. However, However, this would all quickly fall apart during the events of Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance. Following the events of the 4th game, the realms experienced harmony, tranquility if you will, for the first time in a long while. But the events that followed truly shook the foundation of the realm, first starting with the death of both Liu Kang and Shao Kahn. After these events, Shang Tsung and Quan Chi terrorized the realms with an iron fist, and they did so with new allies at their side, the Red Dragons. Now the Red Dragons were the rivaled faction of the Black Dragons, and after many years of staying in the dark, they had finally surfaced, wanting to eliminate all remaining members of the Black Dragon clan. So this meant that Kabal was put in their crosshairs, going toe to toe against one of their generals, Movado, and he did come up short, being left on death's doorstep as his prized hook swords were claimed by Movado. But this wouldn't spell the end for the speed demon. Mortal Kombat Deception. Left for dead, Kabal's body would be retrieved by the Chaos Cleric Havoc. Seeing the opportunity that this possible powerful ally could pose in his quest, Havoc would take Kabal and slowly but surely nurse him back to health. But during this time, as Kabal was healing, Havoc would slowly begin to poison his mind, twisting and contorting his ideals back to his former Black Dragon persona, and in all due time, Havoc was able to successfully convince Kabal to not only revive the Black Dragon clan, but also have him as their new leader. Convinced of his new destiny, Kabal sought out 3 things. 1. The death of Movado. 2. His hook blades. And 3. To form a new clan. So with these ideas in mind, Kabal would quickly get to work, first starting with Movado and his blades. Now the element of surprise on his side, he was able to quickly dispatch of the Red Dragon General, and upon reclaiming his fateful blades, he began to recruit new individuals into his Black Dragon clan, and the first 2 he was able to recruit were Kira and Cobra, Earthrealmers with incredible talents in terms of hand-to-hand combat, but in order to prove themselves, their initiation process would have them go toe-to-toe against Earthrealm's finest warriors. Now, the details surrounding this initiation process is sadly very shady and kind of left unknown, but we do know that by the end of Deception, that the 2 are serving as his allies in the following installments. Mortal Kombat Armageddon. Now, in Armageddon, Kabal plays an extremely small role, appearing in the early sections of the Conquest mode of the game, where he crosses paths with the Edenian demigod Taven. Set on a quest to save the realms, the Edenian catches the eye of Kabal, who's intrigued by his power, in turn offering him a place at his side. But this is understandably an offer that Taven does decline, much to the dismay of Kabal. In turn, he would attack the demigod, but is quickly beaten by him, making this his one and only appearance in the Conquest mode of the game. Kabal's next and final appearance is during the Battle of Armageddon, where he can be seen clashing against his former allies on the Forces of Light. This battle for power quickly devolves into a free-for-all once the Pyramid of Argus arises. With everyone out for blood, all alliances are crumbled, and sadly for Kabal, he's one of many to have perished and died in this battle, allowing Shao Kahn and Raiden to go on for the final battle, Mortal Kombat 9. At the start of MK9, we do see the resulting aftermath of the Battle of Armageddon, with Shao having slayed the elemental Blaze, and now bringing on true Armageddon. But before this can go underway, Raiden is able to send a message to his past self, and in a way softly reset and reboot the Mortal Kombat timeline. Now, with this said, this timeline and continuity is a splintered and altered reality of what we once knew. So there are some changes that affect the story or background of particular characters in certain ways. Kabal is in fact one of them. Unlike his original timeline counterpart, we actually learn far more about his origin story. You see, whilst yes, Kabal was at one point indeed a member of the Black Dragon clan, he was able to reform himself and become an officer of the law with Curtis Stryker at his side. He became an officer to somewhat resolve himself of his sins and his criminal past. Now, much like the original canon, Kabal does appear during the MK3 section of the game, game, but this time it's in his human form. Here he can be seen assisting Striker in protecting Earthrealm from Outworld's forces. During the opening battle, he comes across the likes of Reptile and even Melina, but is finally stopped when he crosses paths with Kintaro. The Tigra champion unleashes an endless blaze upon him, horrifically scarring and burning his body. Now, as Striker goes on to fight Kintaro, Kabal would be taken away and dragged into Shang Tsung's flesh pits by Kano. It's here where Kabal would be rebuilt by the Black Dragon leader and offered the opportunity to join his side once again. Kabal briefly considered this idea, but upon learning that Kano was responsible for arming the Outworlders with these weapons, and that he is ultimately their supplier, he attacks his former boss, tackling him down in a blink of an eye. Wanting to return back to Earthrealm, Kabal has to battle the likes of Noob and Melina before he's able to just make it back to the battlefield. Here he would be confronted by a cyberized Sub-Zero and Shiva before he encountered Raiden. It's here where he forges an alliance with the Earthrealm defenders, and together they push back against the oncoming storm. Kabal's next appearance in 9 is during Nightwolf's chapter, where the Earthrealm defenders are currently debating on how to deal with the rest of Outworld's horde. Unfortunately for them, the stronghold would be compromised, as they would then be ambushed by the cyberized Lin Kuei and finally Sindel. Now, at this point in time, Sindel is in fact infused with the life force of Shang Tsung and the millions of souls he housed within him. So because of this, the Queen is able to go on and kill nearly all of the Earthrealm defenders, with Kabal being amongst the casualties. This, however, is not the end for Kabal, as he does appear a bit later during Raiden's chapter. Here the Thunder God is in the Netherrealm and attempting to find a way to defeat Shao Kahn, when he offers the souls of the fallen Earthrealm defenders as a somewhat bargaining chip to Quan Chi. It's revealed that the Necromancer has already obtained the souls of the fallen and thus forces his new puppets to battle the Thunder God, understandably much against his dismay. Now, tragically for Kabal, he is defeated in this fight, and when Raiden learns of how to defeat Shao Kahn, he travels back to Earthrealm, in turn somewhat abandoning his former allies. Mortal Kombat X. Now, following the events of Shao Kahn's defeat, the fallen elder god known as Shinnok is released from his prison and wages a war on Earthrealm, wanting to drain and corrupt its life force, the Jinsei. Now, during his assault on the Sky Temple, Shinnok has Quan Chi summon his revenant slaves to battle their former Earthrealm ally, so Kabal is amongst the Netherrealm horde. But much like the end of Mortal Kombat 9, Kabal was unable to defeat Raiden, and following this, Shinnok would once again be defeated and sealed within his own amulet. But this wouldn't spell the end of the Brotherhood of Shadow. After 2 decades and a half pass by, Quan Chi continues to plot for his master's return, being forced to reside in the Netherrealm in order to stay out of the public eye, as his puppets now effectively serve as bodyguards. Now, with that being said, it was only a matter of time before he was found, something that we do see in Jax's chapter. You see, the Special Forces were still interested in reviving their fallen allies, and thus sprung a trap on Quan Chi and his revenants in the Netherrealm. This was a battle that Kabal participated in, but by the end of it, was unsuccessful in protecting his master. And whilst that may have been the case, when Quan Chi was taken to the Special Forces base, he was still successful in releasing Shinnok from his amulet. But much like the first chapter of the game, the fallen Elder God would be defeated by the Cage bloodline. Now, following the events of MKX, with no master, the Revenants become far more independent as individuals, and thus forge an empire in the Netherrealm that is overseen by now Emperor Liu Kang and Empress Kitana. So this leads us up to our current installment of the series. Now, just a quick heads up, this is where things get a little weird and pretty confusing, as there are 2 Kabals running around, so you may want to pay a bit more attention to this part. Mortal Kombat 11. Now, at the end of X, the fallen elder god Shinnok is defeated and decapitated by a now corrupted Raiden. This provokes the anger and fury of the fabled Titan, Kronika, an ancient being of time that transcends the divinity of elder gods. Now, Kronika is understandably beyond displeased with Raiden's actions. Having tampered with the timeline as well as beheading her child, he has provoked her rage. But before she can enact on her plan, Earthrealm would strike first. Under the suspicion and belief that the Netherrealm was conspiring against them, Raiden would wage a war against the Netherrealm, killing its only residents, whilst Cassie and her team infiltrated infiltrated the facility. And this is where Kabal makes his first appearance, taking on Cage and her team as they attempt to demolish their empire. Now, whilst able to put up a valiant fight, he would be defeated by Cassie. After these events, the Netherrealm Kingdom would be destroyed, but is quickly rebuilt with the appearance of Kronika. Now finally making her presence known, Kronika causes a timequake that merges two different timelines together, that being the present and the MK2 section of Mortal Kombat 9. Now here, we actually learn of Kabal's changes and retcons. In this iteration of the character, we learn that Kabal actually never decided to leave the side of the Black Dragons, and thus remains loyal to Kano and in turn Kronika. Not only that, but he actually receives his cybernetic augmentations way before any other iteration and doesn't undergo his original origin of being horrifically scarred, so there are some pretty big changes for the character right out the gate. Now this iteration of Kabal makes his presence known during Johnny Cage's chapter, where the Black Dragons are able to destroy the Special Forces base and kidnap the young versions of Sonya and Johnny. Now it's also here where Kabal learns of his burnt counterpart and how Sonya was apparently responsible for this. Now this was of course a lie by Kano, but regardless, Kabal took the bait and attacked Sonya within the Fight Club. Now angered and overconfident about his skill, he would be swiftly defeated by Sonya, and following these events, the Black Dragons would fall, with their leader Kano being killed. So this actually marks the end of human Kabal, as the next time we do see the character is with his Revenant counterparts. Now during Jackie's and Jax's chapter, we learn that Jade, Jackie, Noob and Cetrion have been stationed at Shang Tsung's island in order to guard Kronika's crown. Now when the father and daughter arrive, the Revenants attempt to stop them in their tracks, but Kabal, much like Jade and Noob, are quickly overpowered, and thus he is defeated. Now Kabal's next and final appearance is during the DLC expansion of 11, Aftermath. Following his defeat at Shang Tsung's island, Kronika is able to reset the timeline, but not before she's defeated by Liu Kang, who becomes the new owner of the Hourglass. Now unable to forge a new future due to the crown being destroyed, Liu sends Shang Tsung and his allies back in time so that they can acquire the crown to build a new timeline. So once Shang Tsung, Nightwolf and Fujin are sent back in time, they travel to Shang Tsung's island, much like Jackie and Jax's chapter, and do battle with the speedster. Now Kabal attempts to match Fujin's speed, but he's simply unable to keep up with him, and thus Kabal is defeated once again, and this marks Kabal's last canonical appearance in the Mortal Kombat canon, as following these events, the Mortal Kombat universe is reset, so we may never really know what happens to Kabal following this, as it is somewhat left up in the air. But with that now done, this has been it for the history of Kabal. I hope you have enjoyed this video and learnt more by doing so. I really hope this last part didn't get a bit too confusing, because there's a lot going on here with different timelines, DLCs and reboots and canons. It gets a little bit convoluted after a while, so I hope this was a way to kind of clear up the finer details on Kabal's origins. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this one. I was actually really motivated to do it, because if you don't know, it turns out the actor for Kabal for the MK movie actually watched my stuff whilst he was prepping to get in the role for the character, so it gave me a fair bit of motivation to make this episode. Plus, I really do love how he looks in the film, and I do actually play Kabal in MK11. But anyway guys, that's been it for me for now. I do apologize for not uploading for a while. I have been out of town doing a lot of work in terms of esports and commentary, so I am really sorry about that. But I'm back now, and I'm ready to upload more content, including some more movie content, seeing as we're only about a week and a bit away from the film's release. But until then, that has been it for me. Now, before this video wraps up guys, if possible, let's try getting this video to about 500 likes, and please do not forget to tick that bell, as it's an incredible way of supporting this channel, and it keeps you up to date with all of my content. So now, as always guys, please comment, like, subscribe, and share this video with everyone you know. Please take care, and I'll see you all next time.